welcome back to Not Our Business podcast. I'm Sydney.
I'm Kate.
And today it looks like Kate is in a different location. Where are you at?
I am. I'm still in my mom's basement, but I did a little bit different angle. We can't see the Christmas tree this time. I wanted to look at the Christmas tree. But
I
my
can't
mom's
wait for it to
basement.
make a comeback.
Yes. I'm here for one more week. Well, this is the last couple days that we're here.
Yeah.
But I was telling Sydney last time we were recording, this room, it's a ginormous room, and it's only ever used during Christmas. So my mom leaves all of the Christmas decor up. So that's why you were peeking at Christmas tree the entire last episode. Because I'm at the North Pole.
Because I'm at the North Pole.
And if it's a mix between Christmas decor, Christmas trees, the garland,
Yeah.
the mistletoe, and then my stepdad's also a fireman, as well as like his dad and my little brother. And so all around me, it's either Christmas or it's fireman's decor.
What? What a combo.
Also, there's a little toy room area, so there's also Barbie's Dream House mixed in over
yes,
here. So
Barbie's Dream House.
when I say it's only used at Christmas, it's Christmas and then whenever grandkids are here. But I took it over for tonight to talk about what we're going to talk about.
I'm excited for it. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about Consuelo Vanderbilt. And so we are going to journey back in time to the Gilded Age, where opulence was it. This is what was there. And so we're going to talk about her life a little bit and how tragic it was, how cool it was, and all those other pieces and parts.
I can't wait to hear about it. When it comes to these history things, it was one thing that Sydney mentioned. She was really excited to sprinkle into the podcast was the lesser known history stories and figures of like historical past, and I'm so excited to hear about this. So I have briefed myself a little bit on Consuelo's story, but I'm learning right along with everyone else and listening to Sydney tell the timeline of her life.
Yeah, so we're actually going to start in 1877 when Consuelo was born to Alva and William Vanderbilt. Consuelo is the great-granddaughter of the railroad and shipping tycoon Cornelius Vanderbilt. So she was born right off the bat. She had money.
She was born into the Vanderbilts.
Correct. She was born into the Vanderbilts. She is the direct descendant and heir to the Vanderbilt fortune at this time. And so she, from the get-go, was expected to be perfect. Like, I'm talking perfection. She was not allowed to be a child. From a young age, she had to wear a steel corset, and it had a steel rod up her back. And that was to keep her, like, perfect posture as a child. And that wasn't even the worst of that. Her mom was so controlling and domineering that if she was out of line, she would whip Consuelo with a horsewhip. Yeah. What? Not okay, Mama Alba.
You hear of questionable parenting in today's age, but it is nothing near that.
I don't know, man. Some of these people...
I imagine she'd have to walk on eggshells all day long. That was her entire upbringing.
Yeah. All the time. And so Alva, she's an icon of her own, to be honest with you. So a little brief backstory. Alva married William Vanderbilt, and when they got married, one of her key goals was she was going to be a part of New York City's elite society class. Mm-hmm. And she was new money, so she was kind of looked down on. And so when she came onto the scene, she built this French-styled chateau that was on 5th Avenue and 52nd Street, so the wealthy neighborhood. And this French-style chateau was blowing all the other buildings out of the water. The reason she did this is because she wanted to show everybody her wealth. But also, her plan was she was going to have this massive ball for a housewarming party. And when she went to do that, she invited all of the eligible social elites in New York City. And she was like, hey, I'm throwing this housewarming party. Y'all need to come, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some journalists come over to the house and really rev up this party. So everybody was talking about it.
Like she
Everybody
had
was,
journalists come and they were able to like view the decor and
yeah,
everything like that leading up to it to get the buzz going, right?
absolutely.
Okay, I think I remember reading
So,
that.
yeah. So everybody's at home waiting for their invitation. The elites are. And they start getting them. Everybody starts getting them except one girl. And her name, Miss Carrie, is Miss Astor's daughter. And Miss Astor is like, she's going to tell you who's the who of society's like most worthy.
She's in charge.
Carrie called up her mom, was hella upset because she hasn't gotten her invitation yet. And so she tells her mom, hey, you need to figure out what's going on. So what Alva has told later on is that she knew that the society rules at the time were that she could not actually invite Carrie because Mrs. Astor had never called on the Vanderbilt home. So never came over to ask them for lunch or anything like that. Thus, leaving Miss Astor only choice but to leave her calling card at the Vanderbilt house, which then recognized her as part of the social elite. So that's the type of mom that we're dealing with Consuelo.
But also just thinking of how people lived during that time. Like
Right?
obviously they couldn't just call or text somebody and be like, "Hey, I'm having a party." There was the social construct of how they lived and walked around. It still happens to this day.
I
It
know.
is
It's
still
insane.
like there are still socialites throughout New York City, and based off of how high up in Manhattan you live
Yeah.
determines your status.
It's mind blowing.
I've seen Gossip Girl. This
I
hasn't
know
ended. This
things.
is how people are living today.
It's pure insanity, you know? It's just, it's wild.
And you mentioned the whole old money and new money. That is also something where today there's old money and then
Yeah.
there's influencer money, which is looked at so completely different.
I love that you saw that dynamic.
I loved Gossip Girl.
That's my favorite. I've never seen it.
Really?
I've never seen it.
Well, we're telling the story of it, so you don't need to watch it.
Don't worry, you already got the deeds.
You for sure would have been a Blair girl.
I don't know what that means.
Team Blair.
Oh my gosh. What are you?
Watching it, I was Team Serena. Thinking back and rewatching it because it's one of those, it's a comfort show. Now I'm Team Blair. The older I get, Team Blair all day long.
Is that Leighton Meester?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And Blake Lively.
Yeah, I don't like her, but that's okay. I didn't like her before the other stuff. So, there was a lot of wealth going on, as I said. So, she had this lavish party that didn't stop there. And so, Americans were experiencing this brand new wealth, and they were all like, spend, 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 spend. Actually, during this time, a lot of people got really, really rich quick, and then they went bust. And then I think there's some kind of a theory that, it dies after 3 generations, like the likelihood of it continuing, which I find fascinating. So a lot of people, a lot of wealth. And because of that, Alva's ambition for her daughter was that she needed to make sure that she was as wealthy as possible. And not just wealth in currency, but wealth in aristocracy and title, because that was prestige. And that's what she really wanted for her daughter. To Alva's defense, I do have to say during the time, women didn't have a lot of freedom, but you had way more freedom if you had way more money. And so I can understand the ambition, but she went about it all wrong.
Yeah, I can see the dream she had. I can see going to bat for your kid. But
Absolutely.
yeah, wrong way.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And so that's what Alva set out to do. She set out to get her daughter purchased, right? She wanted to go buy her a title. So she was very tight with the suitors. She was always just really wanting to make sure that if they didn't have a title, it was a no-go. And around 17 years old, Consuelo is 17, right? Like we were 17-year-old girls. we liked boys, right?
Yeah.
Or we were wanting things. And so she actually falls in love with this other American socialite who was wealthy, if not more wealthy than them at the time. His name was Winthrop Rutherford, and they made a secret pact that they were going to get married. So they were engaged. Alva found out about it, and she was like, nope, broke it up, and they never were together again.
Mm-hmm.
So Consuelo is definitely at this time feeling repressed, to say the least. She can't do anything at home. She's in a hormonal stage of her life that she gets no freedom and nobody really listens to her. Her mom's trying to purchase this title, which she ends up doing in 1895. And she is going to get married to Charles Spencer Churchill, the ninth Duke of Marlborough. And what's insane about this is that her dowry was $2.5 million.
In the 1800s.
Yeah, the spending power of that money today is $99 million.
That's hefty. There's also a dowry in Gossip Girl, just so you know. But getting back into it.
Lord. I can't with these people.
It's a modern day Gilded Age love story.
$2.5 million is still a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Even in today's standards.
And this is what Alva paid for her suitor.
Right.
Is that right? Okay.
That is correct. Yep. So that the marriage would basically come together. And it's not that it's a contract that they have to, but that's the way that they did the marriage contract. Consuelo got to be the Duchess of Marlborough. And so she actually became the first Duchess, first American Duchess. She was only 18 years old.
Do they stay in New York, or do they then have to move over?
No. So what ends up happening is they're going to get married in New York. And they get married at St. Thomas's Episcopal Church. And there were massive amounts of crowds out at the church and at their home just waiting to sneak a peek.
This was the royal wedding.
Yeah, it was one of the largest society weddings ever at that point. And so the who's who wanted to know, everybody wanted to know. And what was crazy about this wedding, because we're going to shine a light on this wedding really quick, because it's a pivotal moment in history for weddings, because a lot of wedding inspiration that we even have today is still linked back to this wedding.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane. So at St. Thomas's Episcopal Church, you walk in, I'm talking top to bottom, full floral arrangements. Garlands are hanging from the ceiling. And with this, they had lilies, roses, and chrysanthemums. The pews had foliage all over. There was one reporter that stated there was hardly an inch of stonework or an inch of woodwork that was not concealed by delicate and graceful vines or bunches of varicolored blossoms.
So this is who we can blame for the expensive floral bills in today's wedding society.
Absolutely. Because not only did she have that, the choir stalls at the church were filled with pink and white roses.
Goodness, I'm trying to find pictures of this wedding. We should post some pictures if we can find it when we go to post this. I love that it is inspiring to the wedding culture even today, though. Like, you know you had a day when it lasts for hundreds of years after.
That's how big of a deal it was at the time. And so the wedding decorations from the church didn't stop there. At the Vanderbilt's home, that's where they had the reception. And in the rooms that they had open to the guests, they were also filled with roses and lilies of the valley. So no expense spared.
And this is even after the $2.5 million purchase of the groom.
Right. Right. And it was so important that they actually received a telegram from Queen Victoria and Prince Wales congratulating them.
Oh my goodness. It really was their modern day royal wedding.
And the dress.
Mm-hmm.
The dress was It had the big old leg of mutton sleeves that like tapered down to the wrist. And so lace was on there, silk, and that was just really costly material at the time. So everybody just wanted it. Vogue was so impressed and inspired with the wedding, they pretty much dedicated their entire November 1895 issue to the wedding. And so
It
one would
blows my
call
mind
that.
that even it blows my mind that even Vogue was a thing at this time.
I know, right?
I'll have to post some of this.
Absolutely. So the wedding was a huge deal, and everybody was super excited about it. Everybody except the bride.
Right.
The bride was not super happy about it. There were a lot of accounts that said that she was crying right up until the wedding, and then even when she got to the altar, that she was weeping. And so she wasn't super happy about it.
Yeah, she'd rather be anywhere else.
The crazy part is that after Alva forced her to marry this guy, she then proceeded to tell Consuelo that she was going to fake a heart attack if she didn't go through with the wedding. Like, she would cause a scene. You know?
I'm picturing the mom from the Titanic who's ripping that corset together on what's her
Yes.
name, on Rose, and she's just
Yes.
like, "You will do this, and you will do this my way." That's what I keep picturing.
You're so right. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's exactly what it was like.
See, I just have to pull in the modern day references, like the Titanic. I'm getting Bridgerton vibes, kind of like, I don't know why I'm getting. Maybe it's just the statuses of the Duchess and all of that, and
Absolutely.
trying to find a suitor, and then yeah, I'm pulling those in, and that's how I'm really envisioning what this woman's life was like.
I mean, your references aren't wrong. Same vibes. You know? Same vibes. That's what's so sad about it is that she's 18, she's not happy, and now all of a sudden she is literally being thrusted into marriage. She's never done that before. And then she's also being thrusted into the aristocracy of Britain.
And what does that like give her a? Does she have to perform? Like, what does that role give her? Does she have to then work, or is it just a title? How does that
Well,
work?
so yes, A, it's a title. B, yes, you have to work, but the way that she had to work was that she had to manage the household. So Blenheim Palace is the ancestral home of the Duke of Marlborough. Okay. And so she was supposed to manage this household. Not only that, but she was also supposed to host parties with nobility, royalty, and be a perfect hostess. She could only hang out with certain people, and that was really difficult because the British aristocracy was really rigid and cold, and so she didn't really connect with people socially. It was really
Okay.
difficult. After their wedding, though, little tidbit, our Duke is so romantic. On their honeymoon, he proceeded to tell her that the only reason that he married her was for the $2.5 million so he could save his ancestral home.
What could be more romantic than that?
Right? I can't blame the man for being honest. However,
Like, he didn't want to be there any more than she did, and that's so
yeah,
sad.
in actually researching this, so his nickname was Sunny, but not because he had a sunny personality. It was because of his first child, which was Earl of Sunny Sutherland, and so then they called him Sunny. But
Okay.
he had a really like his childhood was rough too. I
Yeah.
mean, rigid societies, we're not expressing our emotions. You're not allowed to express yourself. It's very restrictive, very repressive.
So he's really not a villain in this story.
I think he's a villain in her story, but I think we can see the villain, why the villain became the villain.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The marriage was just really cold and lifeless, as you can imagine. They're both unhappy people. Neither one of them wanted to do this. And so what she really started to do was thrust herself into activism. So she would actually create local welfare projects for the underprivileged tenants at Blenheim Palace, which was really awesome. She was actually very popular with those tenants, which you don't really see, from a lot of the other aristocracy at the time. And so it was really just a different moment for her where she could
Mm-hmm.
at least help somebody else when she's able to. One of the other rules, by the way, is that she was supposed to produce an heir. And actually, her mother in law, the Dowager Duchess, say that 2 times.
The what?
The Dowager Duchess of
Okay.
Marlborough. That's her mama in law. And she
Okay.
said, listen, your one and only duty is to have a child, and it has to be a boy. Thankfully for Consuelo, she did conceive 2 sons, so she had an heir and spare. It was John and Ivo.
An heir and a spare.
Absolutely.
Is that how people
Yes.
reference Diana's sons? Is Harry and who?
Shoot, what's that guy's name? William. William is
Oh,
the heir. Harry is the spare.
I love that. I really do love that, actually. Okay, anyways, she did produce 2 heirs, an heir and a spare.
Correct. So she like, check, check. I don't need to do this anymore. One of the interesting things at the time in America, as a woman and you were an heiress, you actually had control over your wealth. And there were certain laws in place that if she were to get married, that would protect her assets. Well, Britain was not like that. Over in Britain, they were like, nope, man marries you, he has full control of everything. So she didn't even have control of her own funds. And this woman is
Hmm.
wealthy, okay?
She's a Vanderbilt,
Yeah, and she couldn't really access any of her stuff without his permission. And that must have been awful.
especially being a woman with the mentality of being an activist and wanting
Mhm.
to be progressive, and that had to have been brutal.
She didn't really get along. They didn't get along. Clearly,
Hmm.
this marriage was not working out. And so she wanted to bust through this little cage she had going on, and they actually got divorced in 1921. So, like, yay!
Yeah.
Broke away from him.
So
And
what year? How long were they actually married then?
26 years? 27?
Okay, so she spent a good chunk of her life with this man.
Yeah. A significant amount of time, right? Because
Yeah.
1895 until 1921, 5 years plus 21 is 26.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm not checking your math.
So they were married for a really long time. And what was really amazing about this, not only did this not really happen with their level of aristocracy to get divorced, however, she also got an annulment from the Catholic Church for the marriage because she made claims that she was marrying under duress, right? And so she was
Hmm.
coerced into this. This was not something that she agreed to, which
Hmm.
is like, I'm so excited for her,
Right.
you know?
And back in this time, she had to have been so brave to follow through with
Absolutely.
that. And did the church grant her that?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. So she was like, "Bye. I'm not doing this anymore."
We're divorced in this lifetime and the next.
Absolutely. And so it was quite a scandal because, like I said, it didn't happen at that time frequently, but it was happening more and more. So at least there was that. But
Hmm.
that did not stunt her. She didn't stop. She was like,
Hmm.
"I'm going to live my life," which is
Well,
so amazing.
she has her money now. She can do literally whatever she wants.
She continued in activism. She worked with charitable organizations, with hospitals and child welfare. She was
Did she come
also,
back to the U.S.?
she did when she ended up marrying Jacques Basson, and they lived in France.
And was this the man she had the pact with?
No, this is a totally different
Okay.
guy. Yeah, she
Okay.
never saw Winthrop again. Absolutely not.
Oh, that makes me sad.
So she gets remarried and she served as a chairwoman in 1913 for the Women's Municipal Party to promote female participation in voting rights. And then in World War One, she actually chaired the Economic Relief Committee with the American Women's War Relief Fund. Long name.
Yeah.
But what that did, it actually established a hospital in France for the wounded soldiers, which
Okay.
at the time was much needed. And so that was a pretty awesome win. And they had the wealth, and the time to do
Right.
it. I I love that about her because I think that that's so wonderful for her to have that advocacy within her to go out and do those things when really she could have just stayed at home. And the other really cool thing about her story is that A, she worked a lot with the women's suffrage, really trying to get more women's rights available. But her mama, Alva, comes back into the story. So during this time when she was married, Alva was actually getting involved heavily with the women's suffrage movement and
Okay.
seems to be like, I don't know, maybe going to therapy and talking to somebody because she comes back to Consuelo and she says, hey, I'm really sorry I forced you into that. I made a mistake and I'm going to own it. And I think
Hmm.
that's so beautiful because
Yeah,
after that, then their relationship started to heal.
yeah, I'm really surprised that that is how that played out, actually, given the day and
Right?
age that they were living.
Their relationship really started to come together after that and heal. And I think that's just so great that it actually finally started to improve because after that type of life, like that'd be a hard forgive. Great thing about this is that Consuelo actually wrote memoirs of her life. And what happened with all of those memoirs is that they were compiled into a book and published in 1953. And it's called The Glitter and the Gold. And it really just provided a whole lot of insight into her life that we just didn't get before. And so
Hmm.
people were really excited about it. And it just showed you proof like money can't buy you happiness. You can have all the money in the
Yeah.
world and still have a miserable life, you
Yeah,
know?
have the status and the title, and what's also interesting is she was born into it. So I feel like people that are on the outside of it, they will do anything to get into it. She was born into it. She had that life and she
Mhm.
wanted nothing to do with it. Well, I shouldn't say she wanted nothing to do with it. She didn't want to go with the rules that were set forth for her. I like that she used a lot of her power and wealth for good.
Right. When there are a plethora of choices, right? And if they say you have to be this way, you don't have to be that way if that doesn't align with you.
Hmm.
You know, you can do
Yeah.
it the way that you want to create it.
Hmm.
And I think that's what's wonderful about her.
Yeah.
To know the struggle that like we experience as women today in certain things, and then for them, it's like I'm only feeling an ounce.
But a lot of the freedoms that we have today can probably be linked back to some of Consuelo's work that she was doing back then.
Yeah, absolutely. At least being an inspiration. The interesting thing about her is during this time, there were over 100 American heiresses that actually married into the European aristocracy at the time, and 60 of those, at least 60 of them, married firstborn sons. So they actually got a title, where the other ones are a part of the family, but they don't have the title because they weren't firstborn sons.
So it was like a trend back then.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Yeah.
trying to spread that wealth out.
Fun fact, Winston Churchill was a cousin of the Marlborough family, and Diana, Princess Di, she's also a Spencer, and they are related by marriage, not by a bloodline, though.
You know what? We could probably do a whole episode on Princess Diana.
Oh, for sure.
The way that they lived back then is really not that different.
Mm-hmm.
Our cars move a little different and our decorations look a little different. We still have the same social construct.
Oh,
We
yeah.
still have the same mentality. It is all so similar still.
Oh, yeah. The
It's
players
about
are
what
just
your last
different.
name is. It's about who your family is. It's about your status and your
Mm-hmm.
power. And I don't
Yeah.
think that's ever going to change.
I hope it does.
So I've heard you mention before that you feel like you were born in the wrong generation sometimes. Is this a generation you could see yourself living in?
Okay, tough question because I love the design, the architecture, the fashion, and times of yesteryear, you know, just experiencing the level of like, what was it like? I would
Hmm.
want to experience that. However, with that being said, just like what we talked about, that means you also have to experience this other gross
The
thing.
downside of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's the time period I could necessarily be in. You know?
You don't like to be told what you're eating for supper. I can't imagine somebody telling you who you're marrying. and then
Exactly.
what you have to produce from that marriage.
Yeah, like you're gonna tell me what my job is in my marriage? Absolutely
I've worked with you before. I don't think you would do
not.
well. I don't think you would do well in that generation.
No, probably not.
A little flyover, a little dabble in experience, and then moving on.
Yeah, I want to do it from like a cutesy movie.
Unless I was a man born into that power and status, I don't think I would do well.
Yeah, unless I could pick where, I
Yeah.
was. However, with that being said, I would want to be a woman because look at all the fashion and the pretty clothes and all the jewelry and shoes.
That's true. And I imagine the parties were a sight to see.
Exactly. They had theme parties, they did masquerades, they were waltzing. They were granted.
They did. As we probably are where we're at, and we're looking back like, man, they were living, and they're looking at us like, you have internet. Well, that was a really, really fun story. When you had said this is the topic you really wanted to dive into, and I saw the name Vanderbilt, I was sat. I was interested. I could not wait to hear this.
Is it everything you hoped for?
Yes, and I learned a lot with it too, because like I said, I don't know a lot of that time frame, that time
Yeah.
period. It's only what is referenced in modern day shows.
But I love that you had reference and you were taking the context and you were like, this is what it means.
That means that the shows they're making today might be pretty accurate. You need to go check out Gossip Girl. Give it a season.
Give it a whirl.
Actually, the high society and status and that type of stuff really doesn't come into play.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it does. It's throughout the whole show,
Mm-hmm.
but it really comes into play when the girls get a little bit older and they're
Yeah.
doing the debutante.
Mm-hmm.
Is it debutantes?
Yeah. Where they come out and it's like a cotillion type thing.
Cotillion, and they're like brought out into
Hmm.
society, and
Yeah.
they really go through that in the show, and it's fascinating.
That sounds very fun. I don't know if I'll get past the acting, but that's okay. Let us know, did you know about Consuelo? And if you did, what did you know? And what did you think about the story? Then we'll post some pictures onto Instagram of Consuelo. We'll see if we can find the wedding. We definitely found the Vogue. So we will post those so you guys can see what we're talking about.
But stay tuned for next week. Our next topic we jump into. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify. My kid just hit his head on the floor up there.
Is that what that was?
TikTok, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.